all the information you need to make 2026 your best year yet. So do you know what? I'm just going to dive in and share my screen. It's probably the easiest thing to do. Hit share, and I'm going to try and hopefully get rid of all these notifications that are coming in. All righty, let's dive in here. So first of all, 2025 to 2026, how to plan that best year ever. That's our goal as we go through. Um, First of all, I'd like you to think back the last 12 months. What made up 2025 for you? You know, was it stressful paying the bills? Did you have staff members leave? Did staff members leave you to go self-employed? Was the outside influences from government? Did you have huge VAT problems that you struggled to pay? Were wages sort of eating a lot of your money? Was it getting quite high wages? Did you have very small profits at the end of 2025? And maybe I've heard also people say they paid themselves less. Now, that's 2025. That's gone. So the question is, what's going to happen now in 2026? Well, I decided to dive in and figure out what the National Hair Federation and the Salon Employers Association are saying about the industry we are in. They are saying that we will have an estimated 60% wage bill. Now, I don't know about you, but when 60% wage bill to me is pretty high, like it really is, it's sort of going to eat most of your wages. I think you need more like a 30%. So that 30% difference is actually being eaten up, and that is your profit. So I think that this, if this is correct, something's not quite right. And the number one reason if your wage bill is high is because your takings are too low. I'm going to talk about that now, how to plan that better. The Salon Employers Association also say in 4 years, only 3% of salons will be employing staff, which is absolutely not a good thing at all. I left school, became a hairdresser, loved doing hair, got my own salon, employed team members, trained team members, hopefully changed their world as well as mine. I absolutely love employing staff. We still have two salons that are full employment. So I still believe wholeheartedly that as a salon owner, it's the only way to make money as a salon owner with employed staff. The National Hair Federation, which is a hair federation in the UK, believe that 60% of workers are now self-employed. So 60% of the whole of the hair industry is self-employed. We've only got 40% left, so that's not good. 54% of salons made no profit last year in 2025. 54%. That's more than half the salons in the UK did not make any money. Some made a loss. And they also believe 414 salons are going to close their doors forever. That's a fact. They closed, sorry, their doors. 414 salons. This really gets me riled. Like people who find it really tough and really struggle tend to either go down the self-employment route or they tend to go down backwards themselves. And the reality is that they just don't work. So why is it that some salon owners do really well and some salon owners do really poor? And the question of this is like I know the answer. I ran salons for the last 30 years. I still run salons and we still have profitable salons today with profit in their money in the bank. So I want to share with you exactly how we plan that out. And how would you like 2026 to be? Like less stress, easier paying bills so you can stop juggling like everyone else, confident that staff will not leave you to go self-employed. Doesn't matter who's in government or what they're doing, you are in control of what's happening in your salon. VAT is but should be put aside. I'm not changed that myself. There you go. A little dyslexia coming in there, the B's and the P's I struggle with. VAT is put aside and it's just a bill that gets paid. No big deal. High wages are good and staff are doing 3 times what you pay them. You can pay them £20 an hour, it makes no difference as long as they're earning 3 times wage. Good, healthy profits. And maybe, just maybe, you pay yourself more. Maybe even give yourself a nice juicy pay rise or some bonuses. If you want 2026 to be like that, then you've got to do something different. So what will make this year any different to the previous years? And I thought I'd pull this up People often fail to complete goals due to overwhelming, unrealistic expectations, lack of consistency, and fear of failure, which leads to quitting when results are not immediate. Do you say that only 8% of people actually follow through on their New Year's Eve resolutions? 8% of the world's population. Common factors include losing motivation, lack of clear plan, setting too many goals at once, and failing to track progress or maintain accountability. So what I want to share with you today, how we can actually have a plan that gets you from A to B and make sure that it actually gives you success. And it's all in the planning. We have just literally spent 30 days with our clients, and every single one of them has a plan to get successful. And I want to share with you that today. So let me show you what we're doing with our clients. So for us, this is my dashboard. I've removed the name of the salon so you can't see them. We're still waiting on some of the clients to okay their feedback so you can see some of it's quite blank. But we literally have what they did last year, what their growth's going to be this year, what's their weekly target, what's their average bill target, how many clients they need to see each and every week, what their rebooks need to be, how many new clients they need, and then eventually what the retail percentage is locked in at. These aren't locked in yet, so we haven't put them in. This is my dashboard. I'm their coach, and my job is to make this happen. So these people have these set in their 5 dials. I'll show you what all these are in a second, but you've got to have these numbers to hit. You've got to have them to hand. How many of you here on the call or in Facebook, how many of you know exactly how many clients you need each week? How many clients need to spend exactly how much money? How many clients need to be new? How many clients need to be returned? And exactly what your retail percentage needs to be. Hit the chat in Facebook if you can. Hit the chat in Zoom. Do you have these figures? So I want to share with you, this is not really a presentation. This is actually an actual. So if you want to get pen and paper, you can start writing these down if you want to. Let's get into this. What do we know? So we know that this down here is facts. You know what your bills were last year. You know what your salon figures were. You know what your wages were. You know how much you paid your team. You know how much you paid in taxes, and you know how much money you had left over. That is factual. Right now, you have that information. And we're going to use that information that's going to push us forward to 2026. And you have control of your next year's figures because we've got literally 11 months to go to make this happen in your dream. 11 months we've got to make this happen. So we know where we are now, which is A, and we know where we're going, which is B. And that's our goal, how to get from A to B. So the good, the bad, and the ugly. It doesn't matter where you are. What matters is where you're starting from. So we know this to be true. We know this is what's actually happening. So we're going to start here. So I want you to start with last year's figures. And then you've now got control of what happens in 2026. So let's get to the starting point. I want you to make notes of these. What is your last year's takings? Go into your Salon software system and pull out what you did total for last year. How many clients came in? How many services did you do? So I'm going to use round figures here. Let's say you had your takings were 300,000 last year and you did 3,000 people. Yep. How many bought retail? How much did each staff member do? What did you pay your team? And what was your team's wage percentage? And then we're going to set a goal. And if you know anything about me, I love a 30% goal because I think it is just a good amount. So we are now setting the future. What's your new goal for 2026? When you're sitting there on New Year's Eve, how much do you want to have taken? How many clients is that going to take? How much retail needs to be bought? How much will each staff member do? I'm going to break this down for you so it's nice and easy. And what will you pay your team? And what will your team's wage percentage be? These questions are going to set you up because they're real. It comes from 2025 to 2026. All this is in your Salon software. Every single thing that you've got is in there. And I'm going to show you the depth that we go to. So here's an example. If your salon in 2025 did 400,000, I want you to get every stylist or every therapist, and I want you to write down exactly what they did. What did they do to make this number up? So we had A, B, C, D in E staff members. And you can see here that A, B, and C, they all did 100,000 in takings. D did 60,000 and E did 40,000. Now, there's a good chance that E might be an apprentice. And there's a good chance that D was maybe an up and coming or a new starter. So what we know so far, and these are all full-time, yeah, staff. So what we know, for example, is we know that, A, B, and C, they did 100 grand. D did a little bit less. E did even less than that. And the question we need to ask is if we're going to have an increase, who's going to take up the increase? So for example, in 2026, we've got the apprentice can afford to go from 40,000 to 60,000, so to 90,000. And the newbie, who was new in 2025, their goal is now going to be 80,000. And what we decided to do was do a 10% increase on the senior stylists we already have. So now we're going to go for a 30% increase in 2026. So a 30% increase on 400,000. Our new goal is 520. And I think that's acceptable. So what we decided to do was a 10% increase. Well, picture this. If you're going to have a 5% increase in price increasing, all your team member needs to do is increase it by 5%. You're actually doing 5% for them by increasing prices. So that means that A has to earn an extra 10,000 over the year. Not a lot of difference, not a lot of money. It's 200 a week, which breaks down to maybe just under 50 a day. I think they can do that, especially if you've got a price increase. So team member A, team member B, and team member C, we've just given them a little 10% increase. Now, team member D, they were new last year, so they've got lots of white spaces. So we think they can do an extra 30,000, which they can. And then, of course, we've got the apprentice who's moving from a second year to a senior. They can go from 40,000 and they can pick up the extra 50. So we now know in 2026 who is going to take up the shortfall, who has the white spaces, because we already have a history of that. We're not asking all our seniors to do more, they're already full. So now we've got to figure out, okay, 10% increase is acceptable. So we know we can get a 30% increase, which is £120,000, $240,000. And we now know who is going to make the shortfall. Now, this is all in your Salon software. This is not made up. This is real numbers that you have. So you need to fill your numbers in. Now, we're going to keep this in the Facebook group for 7 days. So you can watch this again if you need to. After 7 days, it will be removed. Now, I want you to take a look at this. What you need to figure out, to go a little bit deeper now, is this 520,000 that we've got that's made up of these people, remember? We need to now figure out how they are going to make this number up. So we know how many clients we need as a salon, and we've worked out how many people they need to do over the year. We now know what their average bill needs to be. And if anyone, you've got a calculator, this all adds up. What their retail percentage needs to be, and then how much they're going to take. And then we work out their wage percentage. And we want their wage percentage to be anywhere between 30% and 35%. Now, you will have a history of your main stylists. So you'll know roughly how many people they can do, which means these two people should be getting close to that. Now, also it tells us what the wage percentage is, because don't forget, they're not quite at that same percentage because they're not as established, but we're going to get them there. Your goal is to make this happen. You know how many clients you need. You know how many clients you did. You also know what the average bill was as a salon. You now know what the average bill was last year of each staff member, and your goal is to know what the new average bill is going to be for this year. Don't forget, you're having a 5% increase, so it's going to be increased by 5% anyway. So now you have an idea, a goal, a real strategy of how many people you need on a yearly basis, which you can divide by 52 on a weekly basis, which means each staff member, you'll know exactly how to do that. Now, your job is to fill this in. This information is all in your Salon software. Please don't get overwhelmed with this. The one thing we found when we did this, I've been doing this for 20 years in my salon, is that we decided for our clients, we'll do it for them, and we'll show you exactly what that looks like. But you can do this. All the information is there for you to use. Let me show you how we do it with our clients. Now, we have individual goals to aim for. A salon goal, everyone wins, just one piece left. How do we actually do that? So let me just share with you if I can. I'm going to just stop the share screen. I want to dive in and I want to share with you exactly how we do it with our clients. Can I do that for you? Hopefully we can dive in. Yeah, we can. Let's do it here and let's dive in and share this now. Let me just stop sharing and share a new screen with you. And I'll show you exactly how we get this done. I want to make sure I'm sharing the right document with you guys. There we go. Now, don't get overwhelmed when you see this, but this is what we actually do for our clients, the ones that we coach. So this is what we actually do for our clients. So we dive into their computer system. We talked about everything up here. I might just highlight this, a very pale yellow, very, very pale. So this pale yellow here, that didn't work out too well with that, did it? Let's make these black. This is 2025 numbers. We dived in and we pulled out exactly what the turnover of services, how much they're taking per month, what was their retail per year and per month, how many clients they did per week. And then what we really cared about was that wage percentage. That's what we cared about, because your profit is being eaten because of your white spaces and your team not earning 3 times what you pay them. If they did hit 3 times what you paid them, your wage percentage will be about 30%. Now you can see here, some of these wage percentage was 640, 252, 144, because they're apprentices, they're up and coming, there might be new starters. So that means as we go into 2026, which is this figures here, we dived in and what I cared about more than anything else was this, wage percentages. I want these wage percentages between 30 and 35%. Apprentices will push to 45. Some apprentices here you can see like Brett's got 279. He only gets paid 16,000 throughout the year. So what we decided to do is we went in and found out what they're on, what they need to do, what they're capable of, how many can they do, what their average bill needs to be. Now I know this is overwhelming and that's why we did it for our team. We actually went into every single one of our clients' Salon software and we pulled out every figure that they actually wanted and we put it in here for them. So we had a conversation with, hey, do you know what we're seeing here? We're seeing which staff members are profitable and we're seeing which staff members are not profitable. And then we have to work on that. And you can see up here that we decided that Amber, for example, needed a 1,500% increase because the wage percentage was horrible. It was at 641%. And we wanted to get that down to 41. So I know this is complicated, and that's why we didn't want to sort of go into this too detailed, but this is roughly what you need to figure out. Each staff member, what can they do? Who's got the white spaces? Who are costing you hundreds of thousands a year? Hundreds of thousands a year. And I'm going to share with you what I mean by that. So that's what we did. Now, let me show you the example. So 2025, this particular salon made £540,000 turnover. So it's 518 was in sales services, 22,000 was in retail, 540,000. Now this year, this particular client that we're working with, their goal is 753,000, 33,000 in retail, 787,000. So the increase in this, their goal is to get them an extra £240,000 this year. That's £250,000. I also want to ask you a question. How much do you think we are charging her? How much do you think she's paying us? If I'm going to make her salon a £240,000 more in 12 months, what do you think she's paying us? It's a lot less than you think. But this isn't me doing all this work. This is her getting all her team. She's invested in apprentices. She has invested in new people this year. And next year, they're all going to come to fruition. and they're actually going to make an astonishing amount of money because she knows exactly, for example, let's take one example, Indy, who's doing 126,000 this year for her. They know exactly what the average bill needs to be. They know exactly how many clients they need to be. They know exactly how many people are going to come in, like 21 clients a month, sorry, 21 clients a week, 5 days a week, 21 clients. That's just over four clients a day. Four clients a day. Can you see? Can you see how easy that is? Like four clients a day will get 126,000, brings the wage percentage down to 32. This particular senior stylist is getting paid £40,000, which is not bad money, plus bonuses and commissions. So that's what we do. And then individually, we track this on a 3 month basis and we set their targets for them, and their targets are set, how many clients they need, what the average bill needs to be, and what their retail needs to be. And that means that every 3 months, our salon owners can have a one-to-one and know exactly if their team are on track. Let me get back to the presentation. By the way, just in Facebook, can you comment on here and here if you can comment in Zoom, what's your thoughts so far? Overwhelming, exciting, easier than you think? What's your thoughts? I want to just do an example just before we move forward, because I would love to know exactly what your thoughts are here as we move forward. Do you think that's really achievable, what I've just described, or really quite hard? I'm going to change my screen. So first of all, the Salon Owners Association believe that wages are 60%. Now, for every 100,000 that goes in your business, it's costing you £60,000 in wages. If you can get your wage percentage, which you get your team to hit 3 times what you pay them, it means it's going to be 30,000 in wages, which means that you're going to be making 30,000 profit for every 100,000 that goes in the till. So if you've got a 300,000 turnover salon, you should be sitting there with a 90,000 profit. And if you don't, the reason is because your wages are probably too high. So from this stage forth, I just want to dive into this for a second, is if you believe your wages are high, if you believe that you've got white spaces and you're not as full as you need to be, what you need to do as a salon owner are these three things. Because these three things is what we coach in, and we've been coaching this for 9 years. But these three things is what you need to get your wage percentage down, get salon takings up, and get profit in your bank. One, you need more clients. Two, you need to get the clients you've got to return. And three, you've got to make sure that average bill stays nice and high. And my question to you is, how are you going to do that? So let's say we're moving into 2026. And the big question is, how are you going to get more clients in the door? Now, we believe social media, marketing, ads, Google, are all ways to get clients in the door. How much out of 1 to 10, and I'd love you to know this, if you want to hit in Facebook comments, you can, or here in Zoom, I want you to ask you a question. How much effort or how much do you put in out of 5 do you put in social media at the moment to get new clients in the door? How much do you do? How much do you think that your website is driving clients? That website, another mistake of me, dyslexia through there, typing away. Google My Business, the #1 search engine in the world, driving clients into your business. How much effort? When's the last time you updated your Google My Business? And the last one, blogs, the new GEO. What AI is reading to get you free traffic? How much effort are you putting into blogs? Because this is something you've got to do. If you want to do better in 2026, first of all, we've got to find out what you did in 2025. Then we've got to put out what we really want to happen in 2026. And then it comes down to something. It's called action. What are you actually going to do to make this happen? The numbers won't happen on their own. How are you going to get your clients to return sooner? Are you sending emails and SMSs to lapsed clients? Are you sending newsletters to connect with people? Are you working on rebookings with your team so money's already booked in the till? And finally, How are you going to lift the average bill? Are you working on your client journey? Are you working on consultations? Are you doing team meetings on a weekly basis? Have you systemized this for new starters? Have you systemized it to stop you nagging? These are important things. These are actions. These are things that actually will make a difference. This is what's going to get you money. The goal and where you are today. And there's actions which get you there. And that's what we've got to try and get you to figure out is how you do that. Now, we believe, and I've been doing this for a long time now, your weekly team meetings are used for one thing, to let your team know how the salon is doing, what needs to improve, and this is where you mentor them. And your 5 dials is the key to this. Your 5 dials is the key to your team meetings and to you hitting your targets. Your 5 dials are made up of your weekly total takings, how many clients you service in a week, what the average bill is, how many rebooks and retail. And you need targets for every single one of these. So when you do your big picture, which is I want to do 500,000 this year, and then you break it down to weekly. And these 5 dials are your weekly checking in points. So every week, your team know if you're growing or not. And it's that important bit is they need to know that they're growing. And they need to know that you're mentoring them. You're teaching them in your team meetings. We once set an absolutely humongous goal for my team members. And what we did was we said, if you hit your weekly goal, your weekly target, we're going to give you a marble. And you can put that marble in the jar. And you work 48 weeks of the year, and you can put 48 marbles in that jar. And at the end of the year, we're going to pull out 2 marbles. And each one had their own color. And the reality of this was these 2 marbles that we pulled out, we were going to actually send people around the world 2 tickets to Paris. We're in Sydney, remember? And we were going to send 2 of our team members around the world. That year, we smashed our target because we tracked it on a weekly basis. Our team members knew where we were at, and we had the incentive to them actually doing it. Really important. Problem with most salon owners is they don't know how to track their own numbers. The salon software has so much information. I think it has too much information and it goes into overwhelm. So what we decided to do was in SAM, if you guys might have heard of SAM, I'm not sure if you have. So in SAM, I'll do that again. SAM is something we built for salon owners, and it is a salon AI automation management machine. It is not a software for booking appointments. You've already got one of them. How's that working out? So what we do is we need to figure out how do you know this information out of a flick of a switch so you can tell your team members, because otherwise I don't know about you, but if I go into my salon software and pull stuff out, stick it on a spreadsheet, I'm bored. If I'm not bored, I'll just lose it and I don't actually do anything with the information. So we thought, what do we bung on a salon dashboard? Well, here's one thing, a month-on-month comparison. So we know exactly what we did compared to last year. It lets us know if we're winning or it lets us know if we're losing. This gives you a real big hit straight away. On that same page, not another page, on the same page, you do a monthly check-in. You know what your monthly target is and you know what you're actually doing. And you'll know if you're in or if you know you're out. And you'll know that within 3 seconds or not, which means you can help your team and direct if your salon is on target. And if it's not on target, you need to do more actions. And that's a simple key. It tells you what you need to work on. Do I need more takings is not going to be there? Do I need more new clients? Do I need to work on the average bill? Do I need to work on my rebooks? Do I need to work on new clients? Do I need to work on getting the clients to return? Do I need to work on retail spend? It tells you what you need to do. It's so important that you know what you need to do on a Monday morning. Talking of Monday morning, we built a scorecard. It's 52 weeks in this scorecard down here. 52 weeks. Guess what? One for each week. So you can see instantly, you can see right now, this was taken right from inside the dashboard. You can see on the 26th of January, which takes us up to today, hasn't been filled in, gets filled up on a Monday morning. And you can see this particular salon has got a target of 12,190, and they're not quite there. They did first week in between December and January, they closed, they did 4,000. They then reopened up first week in January, 8,000. Then they went back to 11, then they were at 10. January is not so good for them, but now we at least we realize what needs to get done. Take a look at this scorecard for a second. Why are they missing it? Average bill, not so good. Need some work on that average bill. New clients, not doing too bad, 50%. Rebooks at 90%. Are they there? A little bit off. What's their biggest mistake? Clients. They just don't have enough clients. So this particular salon owner needs to work at clients. Now, we have got enough new clients coming through, so it must mean we need to work on old clients. We need to get them back sooner. They're just dragging it out. And that's the goal. That's it. Can you see instantly how that, by the way, same page, same dashboard. Also on this same page is your weekly check-in. What does this actually do? I don't put this in twice, just once. Okay, your weekly check-in. Your 5 dials, here they are. See the 5 dials? They turn green. So rebooks, we know they did really well. Retail percentage, not too bad, 9%. Average bill, 60 odd pence out, not too bad. Clients, didn't do so well. Takings, didn't do so well. Why did they not? Don't have enough clients. Quite simple. What's this salon need to do? It needs to have some clients. Now, also what this does is it tells you what's happening this week. So right now, this is a Sunday, and this is telling us what's going to happen next Friday. Sorry, next Saturday. It's forecast that this salon is doing 10,700 and it has 195 people. The target is 215. So you can see we are 20 clients short. And the week hasn't even started yet. So what does this client need to do? It needs to find some clients. So it can send an email to lapsed clients. It can send maybe a post that's going to go to Instagram or to Facebook. And their job is to find 20 clients. Because if they hit 20 clients, they're going to hit their target, which is not bad for the first week in Feb. That's the clarity I think we need as salon owners. I built this because I did this manually for me. This page literally looks like this. If you have your dashboard, if I showed you a dashboard now, it starts off with this is the first thing you see. What have you got to do this week? Are you going to hit target? Yes or no? Then, where are the holes in your business? Then you go down and are we going to hit the monthly target or not? And then how are we doing each year? That is how I think business should be run. And if it's not, you're going to have to go to your salon software. And I think that makes you struggle. That's what I think. So the reality is, I think it's a lot simple, but it's definitely not easy because otherwise everyone would do it. And I want to say something. You're already a month down. We only have 11 months left to change this around. It's gone. We'll never get January back again. We only have 11 months left. This has to be done. It's Sunday. I did this on a Sunday for a reason. You guys can go and do this today yourself if you want to, but you need to get these numbers. You need to start tomorrow morning, Monday, with knowing exactly where you want to be. You're going to have to book a team meeting. You're going to have to share with your team. You're going to have to get your team involved in this. Your job is to make this happen. Your job is to go from A, 2025 to B, 2026. And what action plan are you going to actually do to make this happen? You need numbers, guys. You need facts. And then once you know that, you've got clarity. And that's how we do this. And we found that lots of salons didn't want to do this, so we decided to do it for them. That's what we come in. Some of you will really want 2026 to be your year. And I hope it's you. Less stress and the ease of paying bills. No staff walkouts and staff loving working with you. Confident the staff will not leave to go self-employed because you're paying them really, really well. Doesn't matter who's in government. VAT is put aside. Again, look at that. That's how bad I am. Put aside and it's just a bill to pay. That's what we do. We take it off weekly, shove it in there. We don't even miss it. High wages so your staff feel really happy and they know that your salon's growing. They know that you're number one in town. They know that's what's happening. Good, healthy profits. And maybe you even get a big fat pay rise at the end of this. If you have any questions, reach out. No sales pitch. I just wanted to share with you how to get 2026. Now, I could have made this easy and just said, just stick 30% on, guys, and go for it. But that's not going to happen. There is a plan of action to take you from 2025 to 2026. You need to know what happened in 2025. Yep. And you need to know what you need to do different. And you know what it all comes down to? Simple things. You need to know what's the goal, and ideally, weekly. You need to know how many clients you need. You need to know how much they spend. You need to know how much is going to be retail, and you need to know what the rebooks are. And this is what we call, let me do me five a bit better than that, the five dials. And your job is, what do I need? Because it's only going to be clients or it's going to be spend. And you might have to train your team, you might have to speak with your team, you might have to mentor your team. Now, some of you might be completely overwhelmed with this, but this is the way, and it's the only way. Like, we're not into manifestation. Like, we're not into like going saying we're going to be great, we're going to be good. This is the only way I know. I've been doing this for 20 years. You need to know where you are and where you're going. And you have all the facts sitting there in your Salon software. Pull them out. Find out which team members have white spaces. Find out how you're going to get that extra money. Which staff member needs to increase? How are you going to get them to increase? Do they need more training? Do they need to be faster? Do they need to charge more? Do you need more clients? Do you need to stop losing clients? What is it you need to do? Guys, thanks so much for listening.